Cairo and I lasted 11 months. Not quite a year, but close enough that I'd started imagining futures. Small ones at first, like weekend trips and meeting each other's extended families, then bigger ones involving shared apartments and maybe, eventually, something more permanent. He was everything I thought I wanted, confident where I was cautious, ambitious in ways that made my creative career feel frivolous by comparison. When he walked into a room, people noticed. When I walked into a room, people asked if I was the caterer. We met at a gallery opening, one of the rare occasions where my graphic design work had been featured alongside actual artists. He'd stood in front of my digital installation for 10 minutes, and when he finally spoke, he said, "This is brilliant. Who's the artist?" "Me," I'd answered, shocked that anyone was asking. "I'm Cairo." He'd extended his hand, and when I took it, something clicked into place. "Can I buy you a drink and hear about your process?" 3 drinks later, we were trading numbers. A week later, we were dating. 6 months later, I was in love. My sister Marin met him at month 7. I'd brought him home for Sunday lunch, a Whale family tradition that involved too much food, too many opinions, and my mother's pointed questions about everyone's life choices. Marin had been late, sweeping in with her usual dramatic flair, apologizing profusely while making sure everyone noticed her new dress. "You must be Cairo." She'd air-kissed both his cheeks, lingering just a second too long. "I've heard so much about you." I watched them interact throughout lunch, watched her laugh too loudly at his jokes, watched her touch his arm when she made a point, watched the way she angled her body toward him, unconsciously competing for attention she didn't even need. Marin had always been the favorite, the outgoing daughter, the one with the prestigious banking job, the one who made our parents proud at dinner parties. I was the creative one, which was family code for, "We're not sure she'll ever be financially stable." But that afternoon, watching her try so hard to charm my boyfriend, I saw something I'd never noticed before. Marin wasn't confident. She was terrified. Terrified that if she wasn't the brightest star in every room, she'd disappear entirely. I felt sorry for her. That was my first mistake. The cracks started small. Cairo began canceling dates. "Work emergency," he'd text, or "My dad needs me at the office," or simply rain check. Our conversations grew shorter. The passionate debates about art and business and what we wanted from life faded into logistics. "Can you pick up dinner? I'll be home late. Let's talk tomorrow." I told myself it was normal. Relationships evolved. The honeymoon phase ended. People got busy. Simi, my best friend since secondary school, wasn't convinced. "He's pulling away," she said over coffee one Saturday. "I've seen this before. He's just stressed about work." "Baby girl, stress doesn't make you forget your girlfriend exists." She stirred her latte aggressively. "When was the last time he initiated a real conversation?" I couldn't remember. The breakup happened on a Tuesday evening. He came over, sat on my couch, the one we'd picked out together at IKEA, and said, "I think we need to talk about where this is going." My stomach dropped. "Okay." "I care about you. You know that, right?" He wouldn't meet my eyes. "But I think we want different things. You're focused on your art, and I'm trying to build something with my father's company, and—" "Are you breaking up with me?" "I think we need space to figure out what we really want." "I know what I want. I want you." "I need time." He stood up, and I knew with absolute certainty that this was already decided. This wasn't a conversation, it was a notification. "I'm sorry." He left. I sat on our couch and stared at the wall for 3 hours before calling Simi. "I'm coming over," she said immediately. "Don't move." I didn't move. I just sat there, feeling the future I'd imagined crumble like wet paper. 6 weeks of silence. No calls, no texts, nothing. I threw myself into work, accepting every commission, every project, every opportunity to not think about the Cairo-shaped hole in my life. Simi dragged me to brunches and movie nights and kept saying, "You're going to be okay," until I almost believed her. Then came the Instagram notification. I was in bed, mindlessly scrolling before sleep, when I saw it. A post from my cousin Taupe, tagged in a photo at a restaurant I recognized because Cairo had taken me there for our 6-month anniversary. The photo showed multiple people at a long table, but my eyes locked onto two faces immediately, Cairo and Marin, sitting beside each other, his arm casually draped across the back of her chair, her head tilted toward him, laughing at something he'd said. The caption, "Family dinner vibes." My hands started shaking. I scrolled to Marin's profile. There, posted 2 hours ago, was a photo of just the two of them. Same restaurant, her hand on his chest, his smile wide and genuine, the smile I hadn't seen in months. Caption, "When you know, you know." The comments were full of heart emojis and congratulations. "And you two are so cute together." I called Simi. "She's dating him." "What, who?" "Marin, she's dating Cairo." "You're Cairo?" "Apparently not mine anymore." Simi let out a string of curses that would have made my mother faint. "I'm on my way." But first, I called Marin. She answered on the 5th ring. "Hey, what's up?" "Are you dating Cairo?" A pause, then carefully, "You saw the post." "Are you dating him?" "Look, I know this is weird." "Weird? You're dating my ex-boyfriend." "You guys broke up, it's been weeks." Her voice took on that defensive edge I knew so well. "We just connected. He reached out after you two ended things and we started talking and it just felt right." "He reached out to you?" "We ran into each other at the gym, and it doesn't matter how it started. The point is, you don't own him. You two are over." "You're my sister." "And you're being dramatic. God, you always do this. Act like you're the only one who's allowed to have anything good." Her voice rose. "Maybe he wanted someone who actually supports his ambitions instead of making him feel guilty for working hard." The accusation hit like a slap. "I never." "I have to go. Cairo and I have plans." She hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, feeling the world tilt sideways. My sister had taken my ex-boyfriend, and somehow in her mind I was the problem. The family WhatsApp group exploded the next morning. "Aunt Bissy, I heard about Marin and that nice boy. How wonderful." My mother, "Yes, they make a lovely couple." Cousin Taupe, "Cairo is such a catch. Marin is so lucky." Not one person mentioned that he'd been my boyfriend first, that this was a betrayal, that family loyalty should mean something. I muted the group and blocked Marin on everything. My mother called that afternoon. "Why are you being difficult about this?" "Difficult? Your sister is happy. Can't you be supportive?" "She's dating my ex-boyfriend, Mom." "You two broke up. That makes him available." A pause. "Unless you're still hung up on him, because that would be unhealthy, dear." I hung up. Spent the next hour crying angry tears into Simi's shoulder while she supplied tissues and ice cream and creative insults about my family. "They're all trash," she declared. "Absolute garbage people." "They're my family." "Even worse, they should know better." I stopped going to family events, stopped answering calls, withdrew into my work and my tiny apartment and the small, safe world where my sister's betrayal couldn't touch me. 3 weeks later, everything changed. My cousin's traditional wedding, one I couldn't skip without causing a massive scandal, forced me back into the family orbit. I wore my best Ankara dress, painted on a smile, and prepared to endure 8 hours of celebrations while avoiding Marin and Cairo. I was hiding on the venue's terrace, needing air and space and a moment away from pitying looks, when a voice behind me said, "The wedding is beautiful, but I've always found these events exhausting." I turned to find a man in his mid-40s, wearing an elegant agbada, watching me with kind eyes. He looked familiar, but I couldn't place him. "Forgive me," he said, stepping forward with his hand extended. "Dalen Aucaffer, you're the bride's cousin, correct?" Recognition clicked. Cairo's father. I'd met him once briefly at a company event months ago. "Yes, I know who you are." His voice was gentle. "And I owe you an apology." "For what?" "For my son's behavior. I don't know all the details, but I know he hurt you. And now he gestured vaguely toward the reception hall. Well, making things more complicated. The acknowledgement, someone actually recognizing the situation was wrong, made my throat tight. It's not your fault. Perhaps not, but I raised him to be better than this. He moved to stand beside me at the railing, looking out over the grounds. For what it's worth, his mother and I are divorced, so I understand something about betrayal and family complications. We stood in silence. It should have been awkward, my ex's father, a man I barely knew, but instead it felt comfortable. Can I give you some unsolicited advice? Dalen asked. Sure. Don't let their choices define your worth. You're grieving both a relationship and a family betrayal. That's legitimate pain. Don't let anyone minimize it. I looked at him, this calm, measured man who saw clearly what my own family refused to acknowledge. Thank you. He smiled. Would you like to get away from this crowd? I saw a lovely garden area around the corner, much quieter. We spent the next hour talking. About his divorce. About his work importing textiles. About my graphic design career and my secret dream of showing my art in real galleries. I saw your work once, he admitted. At Cairo's apartment, before all this happened. You're exceptionally talented. Cairo never mentioned showing you. He didn't know. I stopped by to drop something off and he was in the shower. Your portfolio was on the coffee table. He pulled out his phone. Actually, I've been meaning to ask. My company is rebranding. We need someone to handle the design work. Would you be interested? It was professional, straightforward, a business opportunity that had nothing to do with my ex or my sister or family drama. Yes, I said, I'd love that. We exchanged numbers. He left to attend to some business matter, and I stayed on the terrace, feeling something I hadn't felt in months, hopeful. The project started with emails. Dalen would send his vision for the rebrand. I'd send back mock-ups and concepts. His feedback was clear, constructive, appreciative of my creative choices in ways Cairo never had been. Then the emails became phone calls. I hope I'm not disturbing you, he'd say, calling at 9 p.m. to discuss color schemes. Not at all. I'm usually working late anyway. The calls would stretch from 30 minutes to an hour, then 2 hours. We'd finish discussing business and somehow drift into personal territory. His loneliness since the divorce, my complicated family dynamics, shared frustrations about being misunderstood by people who should know us better. Cairo thinks I'm too soft, Dalen admitted one night. Says I let people take advantage. Maybe he's right. Being kind isn't weakness. Tell that to my ex-wife. He laughed, but I heard the pain underneath. She left me for someone more exciting, said I was boring. You're not boring, you're steady, that's different. A pause. Thank you for saying that. The meetings moved from phone calls to coffee shops, then to his office downtown, a sleek space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Then, when his office was being renovated, to his apartment, a minimalist penthouse that somehow felt warm despite the modern aesthetic. This is the final mock-up, I said one evening, pulling up the designs on my laptop. We were sitting on his couch, coffee going cold on the table, the city lights glittering through the windows. He studied the screen, then looked at me. It's perfect. You're incredibly talented. Thank you. Our eyes held for a beat too long. Can I ask you something? His voice was careful. Why did Cairo let you go? He said we wanted different things. That's not a reason, that's an excuse. Dalen shifted closer, and I became acutely aware of the space, or lack thereof, between us. You're brilliant, creative, genuine. What more could he have wanted? Someone like my sister, apparently. Your sister is, he chose his words carefully. She's very different from you. She's everything I'm not, confident, successful, the kind of woman men want. She's performative, Dalen said quietly. Everything about her feels rehearsed, like she's playing a role she thinks people want to see. His hand moved to my face, fingers brushing my cheek with devastating gentleness. You're real, that's infinitely more valuable. I should have moved away. Should have remembered who he was, who his son was, all the reasons this was complicated. Instead, I leaned into his touch. This is a terrible idea, I whispered. The worst, he agreed. I kissed him. Or he kissed me. Later, neither of us could agree on who moved first. His mouth was warm, his hands careful on my waist, and for the first time in months I felt wanted, not as a placeholder or a project or someone's second choice, but as myself. Entirely. Completely. When we broke apart, reality crashed back. We can't, I said, even as my hands stayed tangled in his shirt. This is Cairo is. I know, but Dalen's forehead rested against mine, neither of us moving away. I know all the reasons this is wrong, but I haven't felt this way about anyone since before my marriage fell apart, and that terrifies me, but not enough to stop. What are we doing? I don't know, but I don't want to stop finding out. We tried to be discreet, met at his place, kept public interactions professional, maintained careful distance in our text messages. It lasted 3 weeks. Mrs. Adami, family friend and legendary gossip, saw us having dinner at a restaurant we thought was safely outside our social circles. By morning, my phone was erupting. Mother, several people have called saying you're seeing an older man. Please call me immediately. Aunt Bissy, is this true? People are talking. Random relatives I barely knew. We're praying for you in this difficult time. And then, from Marin, are you seriously dating Cairo's dad? I ignored them all, called Dalen instead. They know, I said when he answered. How bad? My family is having a collective meltdown. Yours. Cairo called this morning. We didn't speak long. His voice was tight. Can I see you? That's probably not a good idea right now. I don't care about probably. I care about you. 20 minutes later, he was at my door. Pulled me into his arms before I could say anything, just held me while I shook with the weight of what we'd done and what it would cost. We can stop, he said against my hair. If this is too much, if the price is too high, we can end this now. I pulled back to look at him. Is that what you want? Not even slightly. His thumb traced my jaw. But I won't let you destroy your family for me. My family destroyed itself long before you came into the picture. I took a shaky breath. I don't want to stop. Does that make me a terrible person? It makes you someone choosing themselves for once. He kissed my forehead. Whatever happens next, we face it together. The family meeting was inevitable. They gathered at my parents' house, a full tribunal of relatives, with Marin and Cairo seated like prosecutors preparing to deliver judgment. Sit down, my mother said when I arrived. Her face was stone. I sat. This has become a community embarrassment, my father began. People are asking questions we can't answer. What questions? I kept my voice level. Why I'm dating someone who treats me well, why I'm finally putting myself first. You're dating Cairo's father asterisk, Marin said, voice sharp with something that looked like fury but smelled like panic. How can you not see how messed up that is? Really? You're going to lecture me about inappropriate relationships? I laughed. You stole my boyfriend. I didn't steal anything. You two were done. We'd been broken up for 6 weeks. 6 weeks, and you were already in his bed. The room went silent. My mother's eyes widened with horror at the bluntness. Cairo finally spoke. This isn't about us. This is about you dating my father. It's disgusting. Disgusting? I turned to face him fully. Let me ask you something, Cairo. When exactly did you start pursuing Marin? Because I'm starting to think it was before we broke up. His face confirmed everything. You did, didn't you? My voice was eerily calm. The last 2 months of our relationship, you were already interested in her. That's why you pulled away. That's why you needed space. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me. Marin jumped in. He realized I was a better fit. I supported his career. I understood his ambitions. You flirted with my boyfriend because you can't stand seeing me happy with something you don't have. The words erupted. You've done this our entire lives, Marin. Every achievement, every relationship, every tiny bit of happiness. You have to take it or ruin it because you're so terrified of being second place that you've built your entire identity around winning contests nobody else is having. That's not true, isn't it? Tell me honestly, do you even love Cairo, or do you just love that you took him from me? Her face crumpled. You always thought you were so special. The creative one, the sensitive one. Mom and Dad always made excuses for you while I had to be perfect. I never asked to be compared to you. You put us in competition, not me. I stood up, shaking. And you know what? I'm done. I'm done apologizing for existing. Done making myself smaller so you feel bigger. This is about that man, my mother started. His name is Dalen. And yes, this is about him. About the fact that he sees me as I am and values it. About the fact that for once in my life, someone chose me first. I looked around the room. I know you all disapprove. I know this makes family gatherings uncomfortable, but I'm not ending it to make you comfortable. Then you're choosing him over your family, my father said quietly. No, I'm choosing myself. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing my own happiness. I grabbed my bag. And if that costs me this family, then maybe this family wasn't worth keeping. I walked out before anyone could respond. Outside, sitting in his car where I'd asked him to wait, was Dalen. He took one look at my face and pulled me into his arms. How bad? He asked. Pretty bad, but I don't care anymore. I pulled back to look at him. I told them I'm choosing us, choosing myself. If they can't accept that. He kissed me, deep and thorough and full of promise. I'm proud of you, he said when we finally broke apart. That took incredible courage. I'm terrified. We'll be terrified together. The fallout was spectacular. My mother stopped calling. Marin posted vague social media posts about betrayal and true colors. Family members took sides, most against me, a surprising few supportive. My grandmother called to say, life is too short to waste on other people's opinions. Be happy. Cairo and Dalen's relationship shattered. I heard through Simi's cousin that they'd had a massive fight at Dalen's office, ending with Cairo shouting that his father had taken his leftovers. Dalen told me about it that night, voice tight with anger and hurt. He called you leftovers. He's hurting, lashing out. That doesn't make it acceptable. He pulled me closer. You're not leftovers. You're not a consolation prize. You're the woman I wake up thinking about and go to sleep grateful for. 3 months later, Cairo and Marin's relationship imploded. She'd apparently cheated on him with one of his friends. The irony lost on no one, and the breakup was as dramatic as their beginning. Marin tried to call me afterward. I didn't answer. Dalen and I stopped hiding, posted photos together, went to events as a couple, weathered the gossip and whispers and judgment. My mother eventually reached out. Stiff, formal, but reaching out. My father made an effort. Family dinners were awkward but happened. Marin and I didn't speak. Maybe we never would again. Some betrayals run too deep for forgiveness. But 6 months after that explosive family meeting, I woke up in Dalen's arms, in our apartment, because we'd moved in together despite everyone's opinions, and felt something I'd never felt before. Peace. Not perfect, not without complications, but genuine, hard-won peace. Good morning, Dalen murmured, kissing my shoulder. Good morning. Any regrets? I thought about everything. The scandal, the family fractures, the gossip that still occasionally surfaced. Thought about Marin and Cairo and the life I'd imagined that had shattered. Then I looked at this man who saw all of me and chose me anyway, who weathered scandal and judgment to be with me, who made me feel valued in ways I'd never known I needed. Not a single one. He smiled, and in that moment I knew, some chaos is worth it. The end.